All right, so now you've got a notice that says that we are recording. We're going to be giving this recording with some edits, which will make it more elegant, as part of the Fairfax County YouTube channel, and you'll get links from others as well. Now, recapping, Natalie, yes, Town of Vienna Economic Development Director. Okay, you've raised your hand, and let's see, through this division, Natalie advocates for business forward policies and supports the creation of a vibrant commercial community through events, a variety of free business focused services and resources to help entrepreneurs and organizations start businesses and grow them in the Vienna community. Okay, Peggy James, you're going to raise your hand there. Okay, is the Executive Director of the Vienna Business Association and the Greater Merrifield Business Association. As the Director of VBA, it's a membership organization. Peggy supports small and local business resources and connects people to those who want to learn how to do business in the Greater Vienna and Merrifield areas. And Megan Kiefer is the manager of the Small and Local Business Division of the Fairfax County Department of Economic Initiatives. I should have practiced that longer, right? Anyway, with her biz team, she provides free individual guidance for emerging and evolving businesses to ensure awareness of business-specific requirements and of available resources on the local, state, and federal level. And I'm Deb Smith-Cohen. I'm the Assistant Branch Manager of Patrick Henry Library, and I've been working for FCPL for about 14 years, and before that worked in government and association information centers. And I'm excited to help entrepreneurs make the best use of a wide variety of library and other online business resources that we can connect you to. So that is that chunk of my thing. Next thing, housekeeping. So if you haven't changed your screen name to match your registration name, we will be getting in touch with you by chat and saying, who are you? And then please remember to share your questions in the chat throughout, although we'll be handling a Q&A at the end. And keep your mic muted unless you're actually participating in the conversation. That will make for a cleaner recording and a cleaner experience for everyone, so we appreciate that. And we're going to start each session with a poll question. And the poll question for tonight from our speaker is, let me get to my poll. And this is the poll for tonight. So now you should see on your screen, marketing, advertising, and branding are essentially the same things, true or false. I'll give you a chance to reply and see what people are saying. And then I'll do a quick look. We have 40-something people on, so give a chance for everyone to participate. And once we've done that, then I'll share the results to see what we learned from your insights on this question, okay? And we still haven't gotten participation from a bunch of folks, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer and see what you're all thinking. Okay. Okay, and you're allowed to change your mind afterward, but once you've committed, I don't think we're going to reauthorize this, okay? And we'll see what happens. So I still have a few folks who haven't participated. I'm going to wait until we hit 30. I think I'm going to say you've got to hit 30 before I share this, okay? So think about what you think the answer that most makes sense is, okay? Yeah. And there are more people joining us. That makes it exciting as well. I can hear bing bongs in the background of my view. All right, I think we've hit the end of this rising at all. So I'm going to end the poll and share the results. And what did you think? Does it surprise you? Is that pretty much what you expected? What? Marisa, you're going to have to tell us whether this surprised you or when we get to you, okay? And I am going to stop sharing that and go back and move on to letting you know who we are. So at this point, I'm going to share my screen and give you some demographics about who's registered for this program. Those of you who were registering later may have seen how high the registration went, but others of you may not have realized that we did hit 80. And so we got responses from a lot of people. And so I thought I would give you a quick view of just who we are in this class. And the next slide here. This gives you a view of the business types that you represented based on your responses to our detailed registration form, which is so helpful. So I'm very grateful to you to have invested the time to fill that out for us. So you can see that we have arts education, we have business services, we have a variety of a couple of construction and housing related services, daycare, preschool, food and beverage, healthcare, personal care, retail sales, and other. And all of those can kind of be a lot of different things. So I thought I'd give you some specific examples. So we have a couple of personal trainers, people who have art businesses with tiles or jewelry or clothing. We have graphic designers, we have at least one florist, somebody who does home decor, dance instructors, music instructors, specialty food preparations, including both restaurants and delivery services and takeout, beauty and skincare products represented, and consulting, marketing, graphic design, cleaning services, daycare, a dentistry, so lots and lots of variety. So the creativity that is around you and participating in this, I think, is going to be really rich. So that's an overview of that. And then next, where is your business? So we thought you might be interested in hearing just how much variety there is. And so again, we're very pleased to see that there's a good big chunk from town of Vienna, so that's good. Elsewhere in the county, of course, is quite big, but I think that, again, people are all over the place, and there are a couple who have said, well, I'm still deciding, or maybe just online, haven't quite figured it out. But again, we were hoping to have a broad representation across the county, and again, some rich participation from Vienna, and I think we got that. So very good to learn. And these are kind of quick views of ownership and experience in ownership. So 61% of our registrants are women-owned businesses. That's pretty exciting. 36% are minority-owned businesses, and I'll get into a little detail on that in just a moment. Among those with who reported their ownership experience, then 76% are running their first business, but a good healthy 24% have done this before. So that's excellent. And how old is your business? That first chunk of 13% of more than 5 years. They have run their business for more than 5 years. There's a little chunk that's 2 to 5, and the biggest chunk is 6 months to 2 years, which means that most of you are pandemic babies, which is a very exciting thing. So taking the courage to make that move at this time is really exciting. And then we get some that are still in the forming stages as well. So less than 6 months, although we said that wasn't the ideal target market for this program, but I hope you'll get some good benefit as well. I'm going to stop share on this, and I'm going to start to share a different set of slides here. Let's go over here, come on, and give you a quick view of what types of resources, come on, the library has to offer you. And you'll hear a little more detail about each of our other partners in other evenings. So library resources are often sadly underused, but there is a lot that we can do for you. And I wanted to whoops, I didn't mean to go, let's go back here. So the A to Z databases is one of the strongest tools that we have. it allows you to sign in, and you can see here, you can see if you can find a business, you can find jobs or career resources, find a person, search by phone, get demographic information on a person or other things. You can search different business profiles of executives and other different types of business categories, and there's a lot of detail. So identifying competitors, identifying clients. If you've gone to a networking event and you got somebody's name and you got their business, but you don't know what that means. What does that title mean? What do they actually do? How could networking further with that person benefit your business? You can get insights on those sorts of things through this database. You can understand community demographics through the charts here. You can identify resources for hiring if you get to the point where you need to add more people to your business, or identify sample job descriptions as you are trying to develop those offerings. There's a lot of data in this database that you can take advantage of. You can export the data and do further analysis through Excel spreadsheets or other charts. There are mapping capabilities available, and you can download information to use for direct marketing with limitations. When you get to the advanced search on this, you can see limiting by county, by zip code. You can limit by the industry codes available through this. You can make a limit based on the type of location, whether it's a single location or whether it's a multi-location business, this business size, revenue, number of employees, square footage, lots of different characteristics here. You can map or chart the data that's available. And again, you can export up to 1,000 records to do further analysis. So it's a really rich resource, and people who get a little more familiar with how to use it can leverage it, and we can help you do that work. If you want to, this is an example of a map. So this one, this was a map that I did. Let's see, this is housing type, single family homes, and so on and so forth. And then we had the type of business here. So this is, what do people need when they do relocate? Well, they need daycares, dog walkers, dentists, gyms, hair and nail salons, handymen, lawn service, lots of things. They need you. And by looking at what types of information we have on relocations in the area by various criteria, then you can identify markets for you. So that's just one example of using the mapping capability here. There are other databases that are not, some of them not directly offered by the library system. The Northern Virginia Regional Demographics are a rich resource. The Fairfax County GIS data, it can be really fun. Census Quick Facts and the Census Builder are, of course, things that you would want to participate in. And I recommend, again, in addition to the A to Z databases, looking at the Gale directory, finding out about company profiles, association profiles, media coverage, other things, and Washington Business Journal, depending on the industry that you're working in, can be an incredibly rich resource of executive changes, trends, forecasts, and ranking of certain types of businesses. You can use the U.S. Census Bureau Business Builder to get competitor information, to get ratios that you can use for evaluating your operating costs and what you might expect for adding certain types of resources to your operations. You can find out more about your customers, other businesses like you, what consumer spending is for your area, and then similar information can be acquired through the oops, let me go back there, through the American Community Survey or through the Bureau of Labor Standards, various surveys that they operate as well. And that is the end of my speed talking. Oh my God. So what we're going to do next is I am going to change our spotlights and spotlight you and remove all these pins, because Marissa, it's your turn. And let me give you a little introduction. You're going to do a little bio, I understand, but I'm going to read the big bio. Is that all right? Okay, so Marissa is the founder and CEO of Spotted MP and has over 25 years of professional marketing, communications, and events experience. Started in 2008, is a Virginia certified small women and minority owned boutique marketing consultancy that provides distinctive and innovative strategies to deliver impact and build brand growth. Marissa is known for her, do you say Marissa or Marisa? Because I should be saying
it's Marisa.
It's Marisa. I will
totally
work at that one. Okay. Is known for her mission-driven work ethic, creativity, and expertise to deliver results for loyal firm clients. Her areas of focus include economic development, retail and hospitality, real estate, lifestyle, and nonprofits, having orchestrated work for a variety of local and national businesses within those industries. Prior to starting Spotted MP, she was the marketing and communications director for the Crystal City BID and was part of the original founding team that launched Arlington County's largest business improvement district. Prior to this, she worked for several well-known companies in the DMV, such as MicroStrategy, Reed Smith, and a previous global law firm, Arthur Andersen, in which she led firm-wide marketing and communication initiatives for each entity. A proud graduate of Virginia Tech, Marisa is from Vienna, Virginia, and currently lives in Alexandria with her husband, David, and 13-year-old son, Derek, and a puppy. Okay, very cool. She was featured in among the most inspiring women of Alexandria in 2021 and is a sought-after expert commentator. So thank you so much, and I am going to mute myself and listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb, and thank you, Peggy, Natalie, Megan, for having me this evening. Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. I am so happy to kick off the Ignite Bootcamp series to talk about something that I love talking about every day with my clients and as my labor of love. So I'm happy to pass on the knowledge to help other small businesses thrive and scale and do some amazing things with the understanding of what marketing, advertising, and all this mumble jumbo, as I hear all the time, actually means. So I'm happy to take you through to understand each different piece. Some of it might be old hat for some of them, as I hear from Deb, that are just starting out their businesses during these pandemic days, that it would be helpful for them to really understand as they navigate, and also have the tools they need to answer some questions as they go through their brand advertising and marketing journey. So I will share my screen and we'll get started. Hold on, it always does this. Let's see. How can I get it out of the thing? Hold on. There we go. That was the button. Okay. So with these, when I do these talks, I like to keep it very interactive. And I also believe that folks that are on the Zoom call can learn from each other and share where they are in their what I'll just say general marketing journey. And I believe that, you know, when we're in these kind of settings, even though we're not able to gather or just a different, you know, situation, we still can learn from each other. So I like to keep these interactive, and you'll see some of the questions I have. So as we talk about the agenda for a day, I'll share a little bit about me. We'll go through and test your marketing knowledge, what I call a chat talk, in which I encourage folks to use the chat and soundboard some questions that I will have that I'll be asking you in the chat for interesting virtual dialogue. Then we will go into what I call all this marketing speak, really understanding the differences, the three pillars, as I like to call it, and what is included in those three pillars and navigating. I will also highlight current trends that are happening in all of the three pillars, marketing, branding, and advertising, and then leave you with a game plan of some tips and some strategies to move forward. I will say that regardless if you've had your business for 6 years and above and just starting, some of the things that I will share with you it is good to always do a refresh of your brand and your marketing and your advertising strategies, regardless if you're seasoned or starting out. So in my practice, I use this a lot for clients, usually sometimes either every year or every 3 years, as they're having different changes in their business life cycle, of if their brand fits now or if it needs to adjust later on because of business impact or something that's happening in their world. So a little bit about me. To start off, as Deb mentioned, I like to say straight out of Vienna, Virginia, and I like to keep it light and airy. So yes, this is me from proud James Madison High School in Vienna, way up there at the top, with a class of 400, I think so, back in 1991. And one of my very first jobs while I was going to school in Vienna was working at the good old Italian Gourmet. So that helped me earn a little income while I went off to Virginia Tech, which I am a very proud Hokie to be. So I'm born and raised Northern Virginian, as I like to say, and currently live in Alexandria, right outside of Old Town. Fast forward, as Deb mentioned, this is us. The show, This Is Us. So that is my husband, David, and my son, Derek, and the pandemic pup. I think, I had to get on, all the cool kids were doing it during the pandemic and getting a puppy. As someone who said he would never get a dog, here we are. This is Lainey. She is wonderful and just a joy to be in our family. So this is us. A little bit about my background. I won't go into details, but for Spotted MP, I typically serve my clients in 3 key areas: strategic marketing, communications, and events. My focus areas lean towards a couple of things where I say business, brands, and nonprofits in the within the economic development or destination space, community placemaking, lifestyle, and culture clients within my portfolio. Started in 2008, and I just wanted to mention that because that, if anyone remembers what 2008 was, we were going through another significant thing here in the U.S., which was the recession, as we talk about economic crisis, and now we're kind of going through another wave with a pandemic. Some folks thought it was crazy for me to go out on my own when stuff was hitting the fan, as we like to say. And it was actually a very interesting time where there was a lot of businesses that were looking for counseling on how to communicate during this financial crisis. There was a lot of things happening in the market. What is the right tone? What should we say? What's appropriate, as the whole US was going through a shift. And fast forward now and dealing with the pandemic, I've done a lot of work again in a similar vein, obviously with the town of Vienna and other economic development entities where we're trying to figure out this playbook during a pandemic. And then there's some of the other things that Deb mentioned. And if I wasn't doing my job, I would be either in sports marketing or ESPN reporter. So something fun outside of work. So let's test your marketing knowledge. We did do the true false poll. Marketing, advertising, and branding are essentially all the same things. I was pleased to see the high percentage of folks that said false, but I would even be more interested in understanding if those that said false really truly understands underneath these 3 pillars what each thing actually entails. And the first pillar that I will focus on a lot in our conversation tonight is the branding piece, because that is looked at as us marketers as your foundation. That will set the stage for the other 2 pieces, the marketing and advertising. So Deb, let me know if I could do this in the chat. So I wanted to get some thoughts or see some people's thoughts on what they feel marketing is, or what branding is in their mind. So for those that, that think that it's not the same, I'm just curious what they feel, marketing. If someone said marketing is ... what would be your answer?
I've added that to the chat. So what is marketing? Okay.
And everyone. Thank you, Tanya, for your response. Oh, I love the answers. What do you feel branding is? Next question. What is branding? What is branding? I love the responses. Business, interesting. And finally, what is advertising? Selling. I like the all caps and selling. All right. Selling. I like the all caps and selling. All right. Great. Thanks everyone for that. All right, next question. There'll be some other questions out that as we go into understanding the differences and all this marketing speak, as I like to call it. So I love this photo because this is kind of where I feel as we run our business, right? The new normal is no longer, the road is closed as we're going through this pandemic and also going out of this pandemic. But, for us, we also see the new normal in running our business from a marketing, branding, and advertising standpoint is going to be a little loop-de-loop, and it's going to be ever changing. I say that because, there was a time where, and some of you might, relate as well, as like, what's your 5-year or 10-year strategic marketing plan? Well, those 10 years plans are starting to get a little bit smaller, right? In terms of windows, where folks are figuring out what their either 6-month marketing plan and then reviewing, and then what is their year, an average of 3 years. So their new normal is starting to look like the loop-de-loop, because it's not the straight path, a straight line like it used to be. I would say BC, before COVID. Everyone is constantly evaluating what if their marketing strategies are working, what are some holes, what are there things they need to fix, et cetera, et cetera. So the new normal is going to look like this for some time. So as we dive into the differences, I love this graphic. I pull from it from a lot when people get very confused as what the differences are. Is this, and this is a cartoon that some of us marketers use and relate it to dating. So, there's a guy saying, marketing, I'm a great lover, and then with advertising, over and over again, and that reiterates, how many times we see ads on TV where you see constant Procter & Gamble or stuff. They're constantly trying to sell you, promote their product to get you to buy, right? Public relations, trust me, he's a great lover. That means, there is some earned media. There is a reporter that can validate that this business, they did a story that you see on the news, that this business is doing great things, or they've overcome COVID, they even a food review. I say those as good ones. That is earned media. That is trust. So trust, he's a great lover. And then branding is, I understand you're a great lover, meaning that they have seen some type of brand logo or brand style or advertising that has pulled this new lady in and into this guy, and his branding has worked. So a lot of folks really joke about this to try to really break down kind of the differences, but we'll go into a little deeper deeper critique about this. So back to the chat. As we start to go into branding, reimagining your business brand. What is one word to describe how you see your business brand currently? How do you see your business right now as an owner? Do you see your brand as strong? Do you see it as it needs help? Is it growing? Are you recognized in your space? Do you do business a different way than others? Okay, some people growing, personal, developing. Oh, blessed. That's great. Needs attention. Okay. Next question. That's how you see it. How, in one word or a couple of words, how do you think others see your brand currently? You interact with a lot of customers and clients. How, if you ask someone how others feel your business brand is, what would they say? Helpful. Oh, great referrals. Cute. Successful. We are industry experts. Caring. Simple and clean. These are great, guys. Responsive. That's a good one. Problem solving. Okay. So on those things, all those words that you guys just said, a lot of them, natural, comes down to one thing. Business brand comes down to your reputation, right? And that is going to be the top, the top thing as we talk about defining, our brand. And the brand is understanding yourself and answering these key questions. Who are we? Who do we serve? How are we different? What problem do you solve for others? And what is your business style and energy? All of that encompasses into building your brand, right? And these are even though they're very simple, it seems very simple questions. These are the questions when I'm going through a brand audit for a client, or they're starting to create a new brand for a business, or they want to refine it. We sit down and have these discussions with stakeholders as well as a board, if they have a board within their company. And to figure out how they want to differentiate themselves, also weed out who they don't want to serve and who they do want to serve. Also, really have those thought discussions on the business style and energy that they want to project. So these are very key. And this is, I know some folks probably have seen this quote, but this really, from Jeff Bezos is one of my favorites, is, personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So, when you look at yourself kind of in the mirror, so to speak, what would folks say about your business brand? Is it quirky? Is it responsive? Creative ideas? Best customer service ever? And when you're starting out in building your business, or even reshaping your brand, some of this is still very important to understand. And also what type of story that you want to share as a business owner. One of the things that that is a small pet peeve of mine as small business owners, is that I love when I'm looking at websites and company brands all the time as day job, I like to know the story of the owner. Why did they start this business? What was their passion? And why, I want to see the owner's name and face on a website, not just text. Hey, meet Marisa. This is my story, or this is how I came along. And so those are, I think I see, if people fall down a little bit, is really putting out there a little bit more of your personal brand. And it also helps inspires your staff and also builds a connection to your customers as well. So under the brand pillar, there's a lot of things. And I'm so happy that Deb, you guys will also get this presentation at the end, because you'll see, some of the stuff in here will be a playbook, so you can see different things. But under branding, there's a lot of things. It's I've heard that people think branding is just a logo and that's it, check the box. But it's a whole bunch of things, from not only just logo to what is your business values, what do you stand for, to your messaging in terms of copy, how do you describe yourself, to design, of course, your website, your look and feel, your social media, your collateral, all of that. Trust, how your customers can trust that you will do good work, and your reputation, and color schemes, of course. Depending upon what your color palettes are and your vibe and energy, that goes all under the brand umbrella. So when you're identifying the benefits of brand development, it's a couple of things. And I'm a big believer of developing a strong brand, look and feel. You could be this one person shop. I like to call small but mighty. But you can, I think it's still very important to have a powerful brand online, in person, digitally, and et cetera. So, that will also help, of course, in a variety of ways: attract higher paying clients, gain a competitive edge, build credibility, and connect with clients, and have those deep relationships. So here are some tips on propelling your business brand. One, which I always feel, folks, this is hard to do, but do some self-business examination. I call self-business reflection, so to speak, in which you audit your presence online to see what you come up with when customers and prospects search for your name. So when they search on social media, your website, or any articles or earned media, what comes up? And if nothing comes up, certainly write that down, where you can identify the holes of things that you could elevate a little bit more. Also understand the in-person experience. Those that either you sell on, even if you sell online, but still have like a pop-up market type experience, or you have a brick and mortar or what have you, literally do an audit on the in-person experience and how do people interact with your brand when they walk through the door or sit down with you, and whether it's how you style your store, or how you greet, how you carry yourself, like all of those things. Like, really do an audit on yourself. And some people, 9 times out of 10, you'll be like, yeah, I can work a little bit better on this and that. You are going to find some areas of growth. Think about why people come to you, and write down a couple of notes of why do people pick you. For myself, that runs a marketing and PR consultancy, there's a lot of me out there, and I also have to do this exercise as well, every 6 months or a year, why people come to me, what makes me different for the services that I provide. Think about your particular areas of expertise. I've seen some on the chat that people, are leading in their space, and, X, Y, Z. What is that? Why are you leading in that space? What is your expertise that you're just out front because you're, has you be the leader of the pack on this, and consider what you do best on that. So this goes into the exercise, of course, again, you're getting these slides of your brand vision. What do you want to be known for as you continue to grow your business? I saw a lot in the chat that people are growing, they want to grow, and what is your goal? What is your brand vision for your business? And what do you want to be known for? And what do you want to build? Do you want to build a staff? Do you want to be a solopreneur? Do you want to own a storefront? Do you want to be online? What do you want to build? And what are your brand's distinct visuals? So what are the things you need, whether it's, of course, signage, or if you're exhibiting at a fair, your branded tent, like everything all branded and packaged and looking beautiful. What are those brand marketing materials that you need? And what are the messages you'll reinforce in all that you do? Whether it's, for me, My message is be discovered is one. And so be discovered means from a marketing, whether if I'm doing marketing, communications, or events, I want clients, regardless if they're large or small, to be discovered on whatever project I'm working on, whether if it's an advertising campaign, if it's a special event, if it's a press announcement, if it's a red carpet event, if it's a communication strategy, what have you. That's kind of like my mantra on that. And your business personality. Are you quirky? Are you serious? Are you funny? What customers will want to know, what your style are. And, some, depending upon your line of work, you of course would have to draw more serious, but then, I've known, people who are in the medical profession where you feel that it's very, very serious, where there's doctors that just want to shake it up and have like a brand of their own and not be so serious talking about health, but obviously delivering helpful information. So understanding what type of business personality you want to put out there or be known for. So continuing about tips on propelling your business brand, discover who you are and what do you stand for. And first thing is with this is to define your X factor. This is what I like to say, and unleash your super skills. People with strong brands know about who they are. So outlining, documenting what your super skills are. If you are a great event producer or a great artist, or you produce beautiful glasswork, or you're a maker of whatever, or just write down what your super skills are and be confident in them. These exercises actually really help provide clarity on what you want your brand to be, and also for you to be confident and be like, you know what, my super skills say is PR. I, have a Rolodex of media outlets, just say, for example, and reporters, and I pitch to my clients and get them, like that's one of my super skills. Or attention to detail or execution, like figure out what your super skills are and document them, and they'll help with building your brand. And with that, these are some of the questions that, in terms of homework, you would ask yourself as we go through the branding exercise. And I won't go down into all of them, but what are the strengths that others acknowledge with your business? When faced with an overwhelming obstacle, what are my go-to skills to overcome it? And what was the most successful project that I've ever tackled for a customer and made me successful? And you'll see some of these questions as you go through a brand audit exercise that will really help provide clarity in taking your brand to the next level. What are motivating skills for me? What excites me? What are burnout skills? That helps you also determine what type of customers that you want to work with, and quite frankly, the ones you don't. And so, for myself, I do that as well, where there's clients that I prefer to work with. And sometimes there are clients that you will say, no, thank you. It's a burnout. That doesn't fill my cup or doesn't give me joy. So and what skills are missing? This helps in talking about and understanding areas of growth, if there's things that you need to take training on, or if there's staffing, if there's a hole that you would need to fill from a staff standpoint that helps you get you to that next level, outlining what those are missing. And as part of when you do this internal, what I call brand self-reflection, the next step is to validate and ask your close customers or your business colleagues or even your friends and your family to ask what they feel about you as a business owner and as your business brand, to get and see if they would agree with your assessment of your brand. And you can start to see, the puzzle pieces either forming or where there's holes if something doesn't align. You might think, and I get this sometimes, and it's a chuckle that folks are like, I'm terrible at marketing, like my business. I don't, I'm just doing things spotty. I feel like I need to do all the things and I'm doing it, excuse my language, half-assed, right? your friends or your clients would be like, no, you do a phenomenal job, especially in this area in social media, because, I see all your stuff or all that. So it's really helpful from once you do the first part of going through some of those branding questions when you're either resetting or creating your brand, and then ask others who have had the opportunity to see you work or understand that you're building your business or is a customer, and see what they say about setting yourselves apart. And so doing those polls. So the one thing that is important in propelling your business brand is consistency. So consistency meaning, making sure all your, for example, marketing materials in your website and your online presence, all, look consistent, and it doesn't look like multiple companies, and different things. So making everything is smooth. To customer service, if you're having a storefront, making sure that the customer experience is beautiful from beginning to end. Follow up, those types of things, regardless of what area you do. And also, if you're starting out, to be honest, being consistent and working on your business, and not starting and stopping. If this is your passion and you want to propel forward, being consistent and constantly working on your business and different business, within your business, different areas is very important. So understanding your why factor is pivotal in designing your business that connects with your customers, your values, your passion, and purpose. This is where, outside of as part of your brand, this is showing, what do you stand for, as a business? What are your morals? What is your code of conduct? What is, the level of respect? Obviously, a lot's been going on in the news, where people are being vocal about, various things. And a lot of businesses will take a stand and use either social media or on their website, obviously stuff going on in Ukraine or what have you, to stand for something. And that's just a piece of social responsibility, where, it feels that if you're quiet, you're being complacent, and, just putting out there, what are your morals and ethics, as the business. And it's part of your core values as an entity. This word cloud here are some of the things put together with some of my clients, that they use as, these are our values as a business, depending upon what their service line is. But also I do have clients, depending upon what is going on in the news or the climate, or if it's impacting their business, they will stand up for it, or make a stand comment. I think the perfect, one of the examples I think everyone can relate to, early on is, Nike. They're dealing a lot with social justice issues. Just were very bold in making a stand with everything that's, going on, and ongoing. They are a brand that has no problem standing and taking a stand, which sometimes will be controversial, but they've taken a stand, and that's important. So when you understand your why factor, there's a couple of things I wanted to share here that's helpful as part of exercise, and then we'll shift to like marketing and advertising. But like I said, the brand part is literally the foundation that helps with the marketing and advertising other pieces that a lot of people have to start from. There are several, if you Google or actually on Amazon, there are what they call brand decks, which will have what they are, and they're literally like a deck of cards that has all these words on it. And it helps you, and companies use this to help understand what they want to be known as a business, and what their values are. And it's basically a deck of cards where they'll have two different sides. And I wish I was going to grab them so I could show it on the screen, where you go through these cards, and then you basically put a pile. You start piling them in certain categories, like, yes, this speaks to me as a business. Nope, that's not me. And you start creating these rows. Then you go through your, what I say, your top brand values words, and then you narrow them down again. So you go through the list again and check next to the values that are important to you. And I usually say the top 5 values. You don't need to have like 150 values as a business, because that gets confusing. But right now for me, I see a lot of clients that are updating their website, reshaping their values because of something's either shifting with their business or what's going on outside, outside variables. But come up and putting them very front and center on their website. Say, we believe in great customer service, equity for all, whatever it is. And come up with those compassion, if you're in the healthcare, space. Those are just kind of some of the names or kind of buzzwords, and come up with those 5 values that really stick with you, for your brand. And I'm happy after our session to write a link to some of these brand decks, so you can see and visually see some of these word choices exercise. It's been very helpful. And then once you identify your top 5, you can rank them, as what's number 1. I want to be known for be the leader, the best in customer service or whatever, and this, but you can rank them and then make them front and center in your business. And there's ways you can do that, from, businesses putting it on their, in their store or in their business. I'm sure some of you have seen it, you walk in and say our values as a coffee shop or whatever, or this, that, and that, or on their website, making it very clear. I work with a lot of national nonprofits where when they come into the entrance into the lobby of their thing, they say our values are here. So there's different ways to validate them and make them front and center in your business. This goes through understanding your your passion. It talks about, as we talk about our brand, so we've talked about kind of the brand foundation, but we also want to make sure that we talk about passion of your business. So what fuels your passion in the line of work that you do? For me, it is that in addition to literally every day being different for me, I get to provide a lot of counsel and strategic advice to a variety of businesses that I call feel-good marketing, right? And I love seeing either a project, a strategic project I'm working for a client, actually go from concept to launch, whether it's a regional launch or a national launch, or telling amazing stories of small businesses being impacted by COVID, but overcoming them. There was a lot of that obviously this year, which really filled my cup to share their stories. So really understanding what fuels your passion, not just, I thought it was a good idea, but what tugs at your heartstrings and gives your business that sense of purpose and where you're heading. And then what I call the Z factor, which is like the sleepy fan factor. How can you tell it in your own creative way and while being your best self? I know a few people, I think, on this call that has, their lovely, great energy, personality about their brand, and have creative ways to step up and stand out. So, figure out what your sleep factor is and get rid of it. And so once you do what I call either a brand refresh or a brand launch, obviously tell the world. And there's various ways, to do it. And these are, I don't, how what these are, but from social media, obviously your friends, your mannerisms, if there is a style to yourself that you want to be known for as part of your brand, certainly do it. For example, my company Spotted MP. Obviously I love leopard. People know me for, I'm wearing some type of spots, in my, that's kind of part of my brand. So, it's also how you carry yourself, your style, your little things. photos and video, your bio. So those are things, you know, just to tell the world about. So let's talk marketing. I just want to let you know, I do see the questions in the chat, and we'll definitely go over them at the end for sure. So thank you for those two. I hear it all the time that marketing is confusing. I hear people use marketing in various different ways. And the reason why I put this pan of enchiladas is that it's literally the whole enchilada. It's so confusing and it's so broad. People use it in various different ways, and I'm here to help, of course, break it down. So the marketing pillar consists of this section and a variety of things. And when I say it's the whole enchilada, I literally say it's the whole enchilada. And so we just went from talking branding, right? You know, identity, values, style, what, you know, all of that. Marketing is basically the process, the next step. And so these are all the engines within the marketing wheel that encompass it. From market research, if you need to do any market research, if you're in a, you know, in an industry sector and you want to see, or if you're starting your business or going out wanting to research who others that are like you and what makes them different, or what makes them great, or what, you know, what are they winning at, doing that market research. To community outreach, obviously working with partners, for example, on this call that put the Ignite Bootcamp together, you know, community outreach to help market this program, and collaboration and working together. Obviously, websites, from brochures to search engine optimization, to social media, to events, to public relations, customer support, pricing, and product development. All of this falls into the marketing funnel, as well as, with a dotted line, advertising and branding, as you see my emoji with you know, our head exploding on that. But this, in order to, you know, basically, you know, the difference is marketing is a process that encompasses strategy. So all the things that I showed in the previous slide are processes, right? That each have a strategy. I'm sure many of you on this call have worked on social media strategies or communication strategies and dealing with newsletters when things go out. If you have news you have to, from a PR standpoint, or doing a store opening, or have any newsworthy stuff, writing a press release and, you know, sending that out and contacting the news. So it really is a process that encompasses strategy. And this is where majority of my work does with clients, and writing, you know, helping them write those strategic marketing plans. That is an ongoing process. You know, usually we set up a year schedule of things that are important, and create that process. So is a process in which your business gets and keeps customers, and you also are understanding your customers' buying power, needs, and habits, and offering products and or services to them, and you're communicating and promoting your product or services based upon how they want to be communicated. So in a nutshell, branding is about you and marketing is about them. How are we marketing to them, in that nutshell? As we talk about advertising, so I know how quick that was, because marketing is a process, and I didn't want to go into every detail of those pillars, but with advertising, I think it's pretty straightforward to some, because I hear people weave in that advertising, either they think advertising is public relations, meaning news stuff, which it's not, and advertising is not the same as marketing. You are literally paying ad dollars to someone to tell customers about you. I know we all on this call have seen ads, either digitally, TV, radio, billboard, bus. I mean, you know, we can go on and on, but it is focused on customer conversion. I always kind of go the Procter & Gamble think, you know, Tide, once you at UC. So many Tide commercials, obviously they want you to buy the detergent. So they want to have a customer conversion. So in simplest terms, it's creating an ad and paying a third party to run it. So for example, if I had a client, if I have a client who has an advertising budget, normally you have an advertising budget to buy ads on Super Bowl Sunday, right? I mentioned Super Bowl Sunday because obviously it's the big advertising day of the year. People spend, and you probably hear people spend, the average commercial for a Super Bowl Sunday at this time, I think, is about $3 million for a 30-second ad. So that is not free. Obviously, it's not marketing is not free on that part. It's an ad buy. So that, and you're asking a news network or a TV network or whatever time network to run that ad. So that's the difference with advertising, and people mix it up all the time. And so I just think it's, pretty simple to kind of lay that out. And as we talk about the advertising pillar, these are some of the examples of advertising, which I know we all see every day in our lives, from search engine marketing to social media and digital ads. How many times you click on a website to shop, and then 10 seconds later you see it in your social media feed. They want you to buy. Well, they're tracking, and obviously that's an ad that is paid for by that particular brand. To influencer marketing, those that hire influencers on social media to review or provide information about a particular brand or what have you. I deal a lot with influencers for clients. Commercials, mobile ads, magazines, etc. So this is just an example from the advertising pillar, what falls under that funnel. So in short, branding, and it's like a little cheat sheet. Branding is about you, how you want to brand yourself, put your face forward, your reputation, look and feel, reputation not only online but also in person, regardless if you have a storefront or just interaction, person to person. Marketing is about your customers, your existing customers, and advertising is about someone else, basically bringing conversion, right? Converting new customers to go into the marketing pillar in there. And all are tools. So the difference is that all of them are tools that can be used for your business, for sure. And so, that's kind of, that's to break it down in a nutshell, as I know I threw a ton at you, is all the differentiation of here. As we talk about trends, I want to go into a little bit about trends that us as marketers are seeing right now. And I think it's helpful just to provide, a list for you, so you understand what's happening in the marketing arena. I'm a member of American Marketing Association, as well as Public Relations Society of America, and some other industry marketing communication-based organizations, and we get a lot of trend reporting. So I'm in the fortunate seat to receive trends and kind of pull out what I feel would resonate with my clients, or my clients need to be aware of, or also discuss with them if it makes sense for them to do it for their business, and build either some bandwidth or have some funding around it from a marketing budget standpoint. So the overall theme with marketing trends in general is that agility in all facets of business, especially marketing, will be a key to success. And the needs of your audience are constantly changing, and you need to keep up with what they want. I think the pandemic made it very clear that customers, as well as prospective clients, their buying habits and also how they're buying has been completely different. And so we've all had to pivot. I hate using that word. I know it's overused, but we've had to go where our customers feel comfortable to go, or where they want to go at this moment. And so their buying habits are constantly changing, and we have to keep up to what they want. For example, a lot of businesses are going to keep curbside pickup, for example. That's obviously came out of COVID, but there are small businesses that did a poll asking, this is particularly with some businesses in Alexandria, if they wanted to keep curbside pickup as either not only safety, but also just as a service offering. And a lot of them are yes. So, understanding that was a big thing and that they wanted to keep and not just go away because of COVID was huge. So, they were happy to buy and pick up. But, so they, a lot of businesses had to evolve to people's buying habits. So as we talk about, these are some of the trends. Some of them are no-brainers, but I think it's helpful for you to know what we are seeing hitting, as we go through this year, and some of it will certainly continue into 2023. Digital transformation is continuing. A lot of use of a lot of interest in doing more digital advertising or digital production, whether it's video content, obviously on Instagram or even on websites to help tell stories or help with launching a campaign. So really continuing to hone in on the digital piece. The first three basically go kind of hand in hand, because with digital, you need content, right? So developing, a lot of businesses are developing a content calendar for the year on what content they're going to develop, as well as, and with that, the content, determining if the content is going to be photography or needs to be filmed, or if it's going to be, a blog or what have you. So the digital piece is definitely going to continue to evolve. The power of virtual, and I'm going to lump these two in hybrid events. I'm seeing this a lot where I know there is we're pushing to have people in person and gather, but depending upon the business and the business sector, and I see this particularly with nonprofits, that they're offering still a hybrid model of having an in-person event, but also having an opportunity for their donors or supporters to participate in an event virtually, because in their eyes, they see that they could potentially be leaving fundraising dollars on the table, and not, and just focusing on an in-person event, and instead of having folks being able to participate in California or what have you, with an online experience. So I've been seeing that where some of my clients are still toying with the hybrid virtual benefit for ROI or for fundraising purposes. Conversational and storytelling marketing. This is where I really love when business owners tell the story either of their business or something that's happening daily in their lives in their business, and either using it on social media or on their website or what have you. People want to know the face behind the brand. And if it's, for example, going to market to buy products for your store, and taking folks along with what that experience looks like as a business owner, it can generate a lot of engagement and the customer feels they're part of the journey of you buying things for your business. To why you became a fitness trainer. I say there's a lot of fitness, I think there's some fitness folks on here, but what made you get here, and also sharing some of your sets in your business as well. So, what I call that conversational storytelling marketing. The power is shifting to the customer, as I just mentioned. All of us are having to go to meet our customers and their buying habits on what they feel comfortable with. So that's very, very important. Interesting though, as we talk about digital and all this online stuff, as I say, going on, there is still a growing importance of direct mail if done right. So some clients I have that will save what I say wow moments for direct mail. And that doesn't mean we spam a client like every week on something, but determining as part of our marketing plan, what are those wow moments where we want to do direct mail. And personally, I'll be honest, I love direct mail. I love getting a good piece of direct mail. I save the ones from businesses that do a phenomenal job with their direct mail campaign. So I wanted to share with that. And if you're a pro direct mail person out there, I just wanted to let you know that not everything's lost in the digital world. The rise of e-commerce purchasing capabilities. I know we see that a lot, particularly with Instagram, where there's some small businesses that have allowed folks to be able to shop online via their stories or what have you. And having purchasing capabilities that they see something, they scroll, they're able to purchase, right now. Stand for something that goes back to the social justice or what your values are, and just being very comfortable and confident in what those values or what you're standing for is. And then community and charity partnerships, either collaborating with like-minded businesses, like-minded small businesses, or a charity on either an event or an initiative. For example, what we're doing in this Zoom right now to benefit, that would be a win-win for everyone. So you don't have to feel alone where you feel you're working in a silo. Identify who those like-minded businesses might be that complement you, and see if you put together either a fun event or some type of thing for the community. Investing in staff to manage your marketing and brand voice. This is where I go back to on the brand piece about if your staff understands what your brand and your values are, they would be a better staff employee. And invest in staff to manage your marketing brand voice, because there are times where you're not going to be there, in your business, right? And where we fall down in that in-person brand experience is when we have a staffer who either doesn't say hello when someone comes into the store, can't articulate what the business does, or I don't know, I just work here. I know that sounds silly, but I get a lot of that. They're just kind of there. And really, when you hire a staffer to take that extra step and invest in them and understanding what your business are, what our expectations are for understanding the brand and the brand voice. So there isn't, folks don't fall down on that when they have an in-person interaction with your store on that. And then measuring marketing success. All of this mumbo jumbo, as I like to say, there is the data behind it that is very important. So when we outline a strategic marketing plan of all those things that I had in that marketing plan pillar, we set goals on what we want to achieve. If we have a social media campaign, what's the level of earned engagement we want to see? If we do a press release, how much earned media we receive to an event. We have metrics, and metrics are very important to determine A, the return on investment of doing something, but B, to understand, if it's a success or not. And this also goes in hand when you're doing newsletters, for example, or e-blasts. If you're sending constant e-blasts, check and see what the open rate is, or see which e-blasts are more successful in terms of open rate. If you notice that if you send a particular e-blast that has a high percentage open rate, but the other ones are low, or people are unsubscribing, then that means you need to change up your communication on the e-blast, right? Because you're either spamming them too much or sending them out every day or what have you. So really understanding what your marketing metrics are very, very important. And I did go over the marketing and branding audit assessment in my earlier chat. So my takeaway tip, because now that I've pumped you with all this good information, is to really outline your bandwidth. I know we're all, some of us have a staff, some of us are solo folks, but, really understand your bandwidth and identify pieces or chunks of what I've presented to you today that you are able to take, able to do. Outline what your branding and advertising goals are, and determine an allocated budget. And it doesn't, if you want to start small and just, create a budget and say, I just want to start, with X amount, or I want to focus on my website, or, just determine, or my social media, or my in-store presence. Just outline what you feel your budget is, and determine. It doesn't have to be some big, crazy, scary number for marketing on that. And then outline your needs and assets to achieve those goals. And if it's staffing, if it's outside help, if it's, hey, I need a new website, but I need a graphic designer, like those, third-party resources, outline what your needs are and assets to achieve those goals. And then develop, obviously a roadmap for that. And in the meantime, you, as I mentioned before, give yourself a grade. When you look at your branding, marketing, and advertising identity, give yourself a grade right now. Do you feel you're an A or an F in certain categories? And it's okay, but I think it's really helpful when you start laying and what I call vision boarding and whiteboarding these things down and answering the questions. You'll see some similarities and see some holes when you do that. And don't be afraid to test and try and experiment. A lot of small businesses freeze up and are afraid to test or try to experiment. And I say BC, before COVID. Now, at least in my seat, I've seen a lot of my clients very open to test and try and experiment stuff where before COVID they might be a little more conservative, but don't be afraid to test and try and experiment and see. And remember, this is the fun. This is the fun stuff for sure. And I love Yoda. So, and this is my favorite quote when anyone talks about that. We got to end with Yoda, but so with a future game plan, as I mentioned before, there's a couple of things you can do. Develop a content marketing, or what I would say, develop a marketing strategy. Create a plan that lays out challenges and goals and metrics. So I already kind of talked about that. When you look at the marketing pillar, outline what your strategy wants to be. Look at those things. And again, you will get this presentation. Look at those things and say, from this strategy, I want to do X, Y, Z. And then the next step is to outline the timeline, a goal timeline of when to get these done. If you're back in the branding standpoint and you're like, I need a website, outline, okay, it might take 2 or 3 months for this. Then, I need social media. Then I need a logo. But like, start outlining the plan that you need to build your strategy. And then create a brand guide with information and guidelines on your brand. And part of this is very important. And I even say I have a brand guide for my business. And I think every business, whether you're small or large, should have a brand guide. This will help you, particularly as I talk about with staff and new staff, for them to clearly understand and be your brand ambassadors. So have a brand guide, and it can be a one-pager or PDF of your company mission, your values, your goals, your social good initiatives, kind of your charity, social responsibility, brand rules, and asset uses. That's mostly for logo uses. I know some businesses have, staff that might use their logo or branding rules things. So just make sure, having a one-pager brand guide is very helpful as a rule, as a roadmap. So as a closing talk, I would like for you to share a branding or marketing goal you plan to achieve this year. and share it with your Zoom colleagues here in this room. What branding or marketing goal do you want to achieve this year? Launching TikTok and Insta Reels. Good, Rhea. Get better at video content. Using Instagram more. Okay. Consistent content. And love snail mailing. I'm a yoga pants girl working on my image, but I love that. Change my own. I know it's hard to get out of these yoga pants sometimes, Josie. Marketing outside social media, being consistent. Anyone else want to chime in? All right. Converting prospect leads to customers. Okay. All right. I think that is it.
Okay, so I've unmuted and I'm going to scroll back in the chat and try to capture some of the questions that I think may need a follow-up answer, if that makes sense to you.
Sure.
So one of them right early on was, what could be the wrong time to take a brand stand? Because sometimes it isn't the right timing and sometimes it's not the right timing for you. So do you want to address that one?
A brand stand. It would go ahead.
Well, you were talking about sometimes you need to stand up for some kind of social position as part of your brand identity. And the question, I'm trying to scroll back and get the actual wording of the question because I was writing quick notes here.
Yeah, I'm trying to look too.
Yeah. And it was, so sometimes brands have gone horribly wrong weighing in before, or particularly when they don't do the thing that they say they stand behind. Okay.
Yes, that's the brand stand. And there was, and I'll be honest with you, when the George Floyd thing happened, for example, there were a lot of companies that were coming out with a flurry of stands, positions, basically honestly taking a hard look in the mirror of how they're operating internally as a company. And, are they being, diverse and inclusive and all of that. And there was, essentially a lot of talk and no action. So, and I do a lot of DEI work actually as part of my business from a marketing and communication standpoint of really holding some of my clients to the fire of, looking at themselves in the mirror. We've taken a stance on this particular issue. Now what? If it's affecting, if it's, you're going to diversify your board, or you're going to have, leaders, diverse leaders, you're going to, whatever the case is. But I agree with you that, and as a woman of color, there was a lot of initial rush to be like, oh, X is wrong. But on, some of these companies were still doing wrong things as a business and not, practicing what they preach. So I hear you. And so, folks like myself and others were counseling on, if you're going to take a stand on something, you also need to put a commitment plan or a commitment of change of how you're going to help a cause. So same with, Ukraine that's going on right now. A lot of companies, are doing stuff for Ukraine, either, charity or fundraising or, giving back. But, words only go so far. I'm an action girl. So, when the clients are like, I want to put a statement out, and I'm like, that's great. but what are you going to do after the statement's posted? So, I really dig in about that. And, I do, like I said, I have over 20 years of diversity stuff. And I like to say I've been in this before the George Floyd thing happened. And so, yeah, those are things you really got to practice what you preach.
So I'm going to go to another thing that wasn't in the chat in the same order, but there was an earlier question about the sharing the different PowerPoint slides, and we will be sharing those, so don't worry about that. Also, you had said that you were going to send us a link to some brand deck words that would help in the audit that you suggested. So if you share that link, if you want to go ahead and share it in this chat, that's fine. But if you want to share it later, we could include it in a follow-up communication. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I'll send it. Yeah, I'll send it later. I gotta go pull it up.
There's a question from someone that says your slide seems to say marketing is free, but advertising is not. And I don't think that's what you meant, but can you clarify?
Yes, absolutely. So I like to say advertising is a third party. So what I just said is, or when I mentioned advertising, a company is spending dollars to advertise on a third party entity. So think TV commercial, newspaper, magazine, anything that, someone has paid a company, like I'd say a Procter & Gamble or a Nike, has paid funds to advertise on a third party entity, TV, network, print, whatever, radio. Marketing is not free. No, I did not. Yeah, certainly did not say that. All the things in that little pillar of marketing do have to have a budget tied to it. So if you, some clients, when we talk about market research, there is funding, depending upon how big you are, you would have to put some dollars in doing market research, social media, all those things. Like there is a typical, which I didn't go into here, but normally there is a typical marketing budget that lines out some of the things that I put in there, and businesses allocate to.
Okay. There's this question, what is native advertising? You used that in one of your slides, and maybe you could define it.
Sure. Native advertising is what I like to call a little bit of the advertorial, where it doesn't look like an ad, like your typical ad, but it has some editorial content in it. And so it's a, I guess you say, a pseudo ad buy, but the brand or the business provides some type of informational versus, something versus just saying buy my product. I'd say buy my product, but like tips. Here are 5 ways to prevent or for sunscreen. I'll just say, 5 ways to apply your sunscreen. I'm just giving an example. So, sunscreen company provides these tips editorially where you feel like, I see this in a magazine, which are magazines are the easier way to say, where you look at them and you're reading something, you're like, oh, this thing is providing tips, but then you look and it's Neutrogena that's providing, the content. So that's a native ad.
Okay. Someone has a question. Shona has a question about social media. How much is too much? Whether it's too much from the recipient standpoint or even perhaps from your own time management side, perhaps. So.
Yes, two things on that. On the social media part, and I know I hear this all the time that folks feel like they need to do all the things, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the things. And mostly they do it a halfway, because it is a lot. My first number 1 tip is to figure out where your client base is, kind of like go where your customers are. If your customers are on Facebook, majority of your customers are on Facebook, and this goes back to the marketing metrics, right? Data. If your majority of your highly engaged customers are on Facebook, based on either demographic or interest or whatever, this is where you should put your energy. If you're over here doing Instagram and nobody's engaging, reacting, or any of that, then that's not the place for you to be. So number 1, review where your fans and followers or whatever customers are highly engaged with you. And then when you pull that information, you can see that as well. Now, LinkedIn, from a business and brand standpoint, everyone should be, you know, actively engaged on LinkedIn. That's a whole nother kind of like, you know, animal. I just think just as it's like your resume, right? You know, like just have your LinkedIn active. But I say, for example, if your client's customer base is a certain age or demographic or what have you, TikTok might not be your best vein if that's not where your folks are. So really it goes back to the marketing metrics and figuring out where they are. And then in terms of frequency, see what posts are highly engaged. So if you're posting every day and you're getting low engagement, that's your answer, right? But also look at what types of posts you're doing. If your videos that you do as the owner or business owner gets very good response versus what we call a static post, then you know you needed to be doing more videos. But the frequency, you know, those are, without saying, you know, post 3 times a day or it really depends upon the type of business, but also the type of content that you're posting and doing that back end data research, which will answer the future strategy.
So I think you kind of folded in some responses to a couple of the follow-ups about specific social media venues and which ones are going to match with your customer base. But there's another question about, do you buy ad boosts? But I think the real question is, why would you buy ad boosts?
Sure. So ad boost on social media is for more eyes, you know, and what you do with an ad boost is, you know, you can spend a certain amount, you can set a budget, let's say a couple $100. And if you're hosting an event or a grand opening or service or whatever, a lot of folks will do an ad buy boost to get more eyes, new eyes on their business. And so with an ad boost, depending upon how much you spend, you can outline, okay, I want my ad to go in this radius with these type of people. And this, you know, like Facebook does all, you know, you can categorize how far you want your ad to go, and then boost it for more eyes. So, you know, that it depends upon the nature you want to use it for. I see it with clients of mine that have like charity events or like 5K races or something like that, where they want to get new people into their cause and awareness. So that's where we use it.
And again, there was a little conversation among individuals, but the next question I think for you is, can you explain emotional touch points?
Emotional touch points is it's a little bit about your personal style. It kind of goes back to your outlining what you want to be as a brand, like, you know, your style of business. Are you going to be quirky or sick, you know, serious or fun, you know, like those types of things. So that's what I meant about emotional touch points. And an example of that, which I always love, is you know, how you want, and it helps with differentiating, is Motley Fool, right? They're a financial services, you know, entity, and their brand is very, you know, very different from the rest of the folks that are in that service. But that's what they do. That's their brand, and that's how, you know, that's how they want to have their motion. They want, you know, have investing to be fun, and, you know, all of that. So that's kind of what I mentioned about emotional touch points, just kind of understanding how you want to be as a business and your feelings around that.
Mm-hmm. And there was, it's not a question from the chat, but it's a question from me. You talked about measuring impacts, the open rate, the unsub rate, and we're going to hear some more about that in some future sessions, but could you go into a little more detail about measuring?
Sure. So there's various ways you can measure. And when for example, with a client, if there's a project that we're starting on, whether it's a marketing campaign, you know, that we want to run on social media, to a special event, like in-person special event, to a fundraising event, we outline all the marketing tools that we want to use for this particular initiative and set goals, realistic goals, not crazy goals of if it's how many people we want to be in attendance, how many people we want to reach on social media, any public relations like PR or media we want to achieve. So we'll say, okay, we want to get 3 earned media hits in PR or whatever on the news. So we set those at the start of any project. And then we measure, we measure how we're doing, and we can pull various things. Obviously, we can pull social media numbers, we can pull website numbers if we're trying to draw traffic to a particular thing, and see, and measure if we reach those goals from a reach standpoint.
Okay, and next thing I had was direct mail done right. You threw that out, and I think maybe you could give another example of what would be an example of direct mail done right.
Sure. So I like direct mail for like the wow factors, right? It could be from a grand opening event to an anniversary event to if you're raising, funds for a charity where you're doing a call, either end of year campaign or a particular race event. But normally with businesses, they will budget out a certain amount of money. It can either be on a quarterly basis or every 6 months for saving direct mail for that wow moment. It could be used as their also impact, what I call like their impact, end of year impact, where they just do a postcard, outlining all, because of you, here's our impact, thank you, kind of things. So outlining what your wow moment is. I am not a fan of sending postcards every year, getting direct mail every week from a same brand, because obviously that's no different than spamming in virtual land. So, but what is your wow moment? And also, honestly, going back to visual, the size postcard, if it's interesting, if it's a larger side versus your right, how have you made an interesting direct mail piece that catches my eye and I want to save it to the text that you put on in the design. So having those, direct mail pieces that are wow moments, I think is important.
And now I'm going to apologize to you because I realize you're still sharing your screen, and there are
sorry.
compliments about your jacket in the chat. So we should be seeing your jacket again. So, okay.
Sorry, hi
everybody. So my apologies for that, but it's good to see you again. And I think that's your evidence of your own branding, is that you're being spotted, right?
Yes.
So
can I then add one thing about direct mail, which is a little bit of a bent on direct mail, and it doesn't give as much love. I know it takes time, but you will never understand the power of a handwritten thank you note by a business owner. Like that is still can be direct mail-ish, but write a thank you note from your customer, or even, just it's that extra touch. I have gotten business out of writing hand thank you notes. You think it's a small trivial thing, but and also from a media and dealing with news reporters all the time. I have one reporter, a national news reporter, who did this big story. And I wrote him a thank you note. And when I went to go pitch again for another thing, he said, I will always take your call because you wrote me a thank you note. And you were very, and I'm like, and that, now we've got that connection. And he's like, you took a moment to write a thank you note. So, in our busy lives where we're like, either I'm pitching from write a thank you note. That's all. Sorry.
Okay. And again, I'm going to ask you again not from the chat, but from my listening to you. You talked about connections to nonprofits and connections to like-minded businesses as a strength that was part of your understanding your brand's potential and impact. So can you expand a little bit on that as well?
Sure. So depending upon your business, look for charities that might be like-minded that you want to help. So for example, if you run a dog shop, look for a rescue business or charity, or have some type of event to raise funds for the charity, and come together and do something in that vein. So, figure about what, every business should have a charity or a cause that is sticky to them or that they're passionate about, that they can thread through into their business. We see this all the time in the food business, restaurant industry, right? It's, oh my gosh, Jose Andres, I was going to say Jose Andres's, charity, all, Capital Food Bank, there's restaurants that will, food bank. So like figure out that will raise funds or whatever for the Capital Area Food Bank. So like figure out what charity that you feel aligns with your business brand values, and, work on, some initiatives together throughout the year that would benefit. For example, Giving Tuesday, for example, is in the fall. There's a lot of businesses that can be involved and help raise funds for local charities. So figure out what that piece is that works well.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's another question that I missed earlier. She's using the example for a natural fiber product. Would you recommend TikTok or Pinterest to reach out to potential clients? Facebook and Instagram are working okay, but I'm wondering what I should do next. A consulting gig for you in a moment.
So she's a natural fiber company.
Yeah, she has natural fiber products. Anyway,
I think it would be interesting from TikTok to be creative on what we could do it like visually, like could do with that. I'm kind of leaning towards TikTok. Like I think like as an art, I have a creative brain, like, and again, not knowing, the business, but, doing some fun, creative things on TikTok with natural fibers, could be very cool, and understanding her brand more. But I would have to dig a little deeper on that. That's kind of where my brain's going right now. Okay. It also depends on her audience, if she's, as well.
So that's the end of what I see in the chat. I'm going to give a chance if somebody who didn't want to type wants to unmute and ask a question, and then we'll start our tie-ups. Okay. Oh, and Latanya says, is our magazine advertisements effective?
Oh, I know. Depends. Yes, you're not going to like my answer. Yes and no, but it depends. Depends on the business and the brand. I'm someone who I love my magazines. I get the newspaper every day. Like I like my print stuff. I kind of have to work in both worlds, print and digital. But it honestly depends on the type of business as well as the creative as well, like what you're trying to say. Magazine ads are super expensive. So we have, and that also goes into the wow bucket, at least for some of my clients that buy advertising, where we budget out what that wow funding is going to be. And if we're going to invest in that. So I would say yes and no. we might have to do a whole session on that.
Okay. Does anybody else want to chime in?
I want to mention one thing before, as we continue on with our night boot camp. I have the honor of closing out our series on May 26th with Coach Marvin Powell, which is a pitch style / happy hour event on May 26th at 6 p.m. So the pitch the pitch session is going to be open for anyone who's here on this call. You just have to take a short survey, which is located here. But we're really going to set up a fun, what I call Shark Tank style inspired session where myself and Coach Marvin Powell, who's a leadership coach, will be sitting at the table and critiquing in a very nice way, but if you want to pitch your business to us, and we will review how you present yourself. You can have your products out. So think if you see Shark Tank, it'll be very Shark Tank inspired. So bring your A game. on that. And so we'll create from, critique from presentation to poise to, how fast you can rattle off what you do in that. So if you're interested in pitching, there is a link that Natalie put in the chat, but it's also for those that don't want to pitch. We're having a happy hour as well. So we'd love to have a live studio audience for the first part of the program. And then, we'll have a happy hour.
So I'm going to remove the spotlight and then start spotlighting all of us let's do this. I'm going to pin our various co-hosts here and add pin and add pin, and I'm missing you because I have to find Marisa again to repin you. Sorry about that. Let's go back here. Where are you, Marisa? Oh gosh, you've disappeared in my link list here. I'll just have to scroll over to find you again. But I do want to thank you so much, even though you're not on the screen right now. And I certainly got a lot out of this. There you are. I'm adding a pin. We're all on now. But thanks so much to everyone for coming. The next time we get together, don't forget, 6 o'clock on Wednesday, okay? Just 2 days from now. And we will be sending that link again, but it's the same link. You don't really have to look for it again, but we will be getting together on Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Our speaker will be Mattia Johnson Buggs, and her thing is social media. So we'll be getting a lot more deep dive into that and strategies for that. So I think that would be helpful. And Natalie, Peggy, Megan, what have I left out for the closing?
Hey, Megan.
Hi, Perry. How are you? It's nice to see
Gold
you.
team.
Gold team. See you soon.
And people are saying they're looking forward to it. Oh, good. It'll be great.
Deb, I did want to interject. I do believe that we have some criteria for the businesses who pitch, right?
That's right. Now, we do want you to be an attendee. That means you have to attend all 4. You're already 1 down. You have to attend all 4 in order to be one of the pitchers on Thursday, the 26th. And we also haven't told them where, which I think would be a useful thing. Does that make sense to you? So the American Legion Hall in Vienna, American Legion 180, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. It's Air Hill, but I don't know the number. Do you know the number?
I think it's 130.
130. Okay.
Center Street, Vienna, Virginia.
It's Center Street. Okay, sorry. In any case, that one is open to everyone, but for the pitch portion, you need to be a participant for all 4 sessions. And we're excited to see what you got. Okay.
Okay, and I think we also have a limit, right? So if you're interested in pitching, get your RSVP in, because I think we have a limit of pitches that we can do in order to give.
We want time for schmooze as well as time for pitch.
Yes, Natalie, how many?
Natalie,
how many are we doing?
We're aiming for up to 15, maybe 20. Do it up to 15. So we need our best 15. Just come on through and pitch.
And we will have a clock, so it'll be 3 minutes for pitching. So I don't want to, pull the Oscar music out to wrap it up so 3 minutes, 3 minutes of pitching.
But it's not a competition, right?
Not
it's
a competition.
Straight up, just if you're interested in making sure that when you go and sit in front of or stand in front of somebody, that you can present your business in the best possible way in the shortest amount of time, also known as your elevator speech.
Pitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we will provide, we will critique, what you told us. So again, from, image to if you have products, just Shark Tank inspired. So I'll leave it there. You guys can go look at Shark Tank, and I'm sure all y'all have seen a snippet so you get an idea.
Oh, I want to add that I won't leave you hanging. For those that sign up, I have a lovely form that kind of gives you some support, resources, and your pitch. So you don't have to make it up if you've never done it before. It's okay. We will provide you with some details, some criteria that you should think about.
And Natalie, were you able to correct the link? Someone reported that it wasn't functioning.
It was working and it's fine.
Okay, all right. And
And
Annie-
I would like to add that people who come to pitch, if a lot of you are brand new business owners or recent business owners, and this is not everybody's forte. I mean, it's a little scary to get in front of people and talk. It's a very, very friendly environment. I mean, you see Marisa here, and you will just get some really good feedback on, what to tweak. Nobody's going to, you're out or vote on you or rate you.
I won't be as mean as some of the Shark Tank judges.
Good Lord.
And there's a question in the chat about whether we're expecting any kind of AV support slides or so on. And and it's you and your brand and the rest of us listening.
That's right.
And from what I understand, you can also bring, and Natalie will provide this information, but you can also bring and should bring your products and any kind of physical items that help represent your brand.
Yes, that's true.
Yes,
Like,
they
for
will have a
instance, like
table.
Perry's cups down here.
I was like, some folks are ready. Some folks are ready for May 26th.
Hey, Natalie.
Hello.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions? You will be getting both a reminder on the Zoom and some follow-up in terms of the handouts or something from tonight in between. And as I said earlier on, because we're recording this, but it'll take a little editing, after the fact, we'll let you know when we have actually published the edited versions of each of the sessions, okay? But you're gonna get a lot to take away, both in person and after the fact. I think this will be great.
And so the question came up, and I just wanted to reiterate that at the end of all 4 sessions, you will be sharing the slides. Is that right?
I actually, we haven't decided whether it's going to be most efficient to share between sessions or to share them all at the end. Some of it has to do with the size of the emails, and it may need to be broken up, but we'll see what works. But in any case, you will be getting them. Natalie, the deadline for people responding to that survey is before we meet on Monday, the 23rd. Is that correct? That was my understanding.
Yes, 1 week from today.
1 week from today. If you are planning to pitch, make your commitment, okay? So that we can finalize the schedule for Thursday.
And if you're planning to pitch, please commit to that, because we will have a limit. So, and if you have questions about it, feel free to contact Natalie or any of us if you want to kind of walk through it and have a little higher comfort level.
Now, have we put all of our emails in chat? Because there's an argument that it would be easier to do that if we had done that.
That's a great idea.
So I'm going to type mine, and we should all do the same.
Hey, Peggy.
Hi, Perry. I was wondering when you were going to actually respond to me.
Okay, and
a great presentation, Marissa. I actually learned a lot, and I've taken your classes like 2 other times. So this is really wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this.
Okay.
Thank you. No, my pleasure.
I don't see Megan's email in there yet, and I don't want to close this out until you have a chance to share that. Typing under pressure is always fun. There we go. Excellent. Okay. So thank you all for coming, and we will see you on Wednesday. And I already gave you the preview that we're going to learn more about social media from Amatia Johnson Buggs, and I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much for coming. I'm ending it for everyone. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.